I recently received a referral for a gentleman who is very interested in music, and in particular, he liked to play guitar. He didn't feel confident enough to engage with others without a guitar in his hand, and to him, it was a safety blanket. It meant that he didn't have to say anything and could bond with people through music. So we discussed setting up our own music session. The music session started as an informal jam in a marketplace. It has now turned into a group that meets on a weekly basis at a community centre and has a lot more attendees. This showed the importance of responding to gaps in provisions and supporting somebody based on what is important to them.
A person that I was working with had recently had her children taken from her by social services. They had told us some improvements she needed to make within the home in order for them to live with her again. One of these steps was to replace their current mattresses with brand new ones. My client was anxious as to how she would afford these, as there were two that needed to be replaced. Other professionals from council services had offered to help with funding the mattresses, but my client was told this could be a lengthy process of applying for council-approved grants, which could take months. As social prescribers, we have the freedom to look at other ways in which our clients can get support for items. After having a think, I called out to a local community group to see if they would be able to help. Vi, who runs the group, put a post out on Facebook, and only 24 hours after, funds were raised via this social media platform in order for her to buy two of the mattresses for her children. I had a phone call a few weeks later from my client saying that her children were back at home with her and that she was over the moon with the support we provided.
An example that springs to mind for me is of a gentleman that had got multiple admissions and multiple 999 call-outs. So we worked with him holistically on his anxiety. He then went to Riverside Project, where he took part in the blacksmithing and the woodwork sessions. He was there for about 6 months, did really fantastic. After that, he started volunteering in the community, and then since that, few weeks ago, he has just gained full-time employment. His admissions have gone down to 0.
I recently started working with a lady who has sensory needs and uses different sensory items to help her reduce her anxiety and when she is feeling mentally unwell. Using the personal health budget through the high intensity user scheme, we were able to focus on her sensory needs and purchase items to support her throughout her journey. We focused on this first rather than discussing groups or signposting to different services. We homed in on her interests and hobbies which she enjoyed doing at home and looked at building confidence and rapport, working towards attending groups in the future. This continued for several weeks until she felt ready to attend a craft group. She attended with myself and a community buddy, also along with her sensory items to use if she felt anxious or distressed.
A previous client called up as he was told that Transport for West Midlands would not renew his disability travel pass. He didn't know who to turn to. I was able to obtain relevant supporting documentation from the practice to send to the travel firm. His application was awarded almost immediately, and he was able to continue to attend his social activities and voluntary role without disruption.
In summer last year, we received a referral for a patient who had recently lost his father. When I contacted him, he was addressing housing issues and had support in place and wanted to concentrate on that. The patient was still struggling with trauma and grief, but we had a discussion of the service and agreed he would benefit from it once other issues had been resolved. Due to the volume of referrals we receive, we would normally ask a patient to be re-referred when they are ready to access the service, but due to my experience in trauma support and the fact that the patient had previously been referred and never engaged, I felt the patient would benefit from me keeping in touch and reviewing the situation and seeing if I could offer any input. I kept in touch for a number of months offering wellbeing calls. After several months we started to explore bereavement support, and then in January of this year I referred the patient to one of the groups that we operate as he wanted to start socialising. Since then he has progressed onto volunteering. I adapted my approach and had flexibility as I recognised the patient's need.
Most recently, I've been supporting a gentleman in various aspects of his life, but since introducing him to Horbush Community Gardens, that's what's really stuck out for me. Since attending, he's grown in confidence and he's made new friendships, and he's now currently a volunteer there. We were recently on a first aid course together, and I reflected on how great it was to work collaboratively with the people that we have previously supported.
As someone who is passionate about the benefits of physical activity and nature in promoting positive well-being, I encourage the people I'm working with to meet outside in green spaces, to walk and talk together wherever I can. I notice the therapeutic benefits that being outdoors in nature has for the people I work with. Their shoulders drop, the mask fades, and they have the time and the space to be able to concentrate on what is important to them. We take the time to notice wildlife and flowers and foster a sense of connection to nature. This, along with an asset-based, non-judgmental approach, helps people to feel valued and at ease so that we can work together to overcome challenges and make positive life changes.